collectors and action figure fans, it's the one and only optibotimus coming to you with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers Earthrise Cybertronian villains, made up of Voyager class Skywarp and Thundercracker. Exclusively available, at least here in North America, at Target stores, this set finally completes the trio of original Seekers, made up of Skywarp, Thundercracker, and of course their leader, Starscream. For the package, you got this really nice open window that fully showcases the figure. You got the Transformers text with the Generation logo. You can see Cybertronian villains. I like how they got the little Decepticon logo right there. Top section here just says Transformers War for Cybertron, Decepticon logo. You got Galvatron floating around here. What's nice though is you come to this side, and this is a new image. You got images of Thundercracker and Skywarp flying away from what appears to be the Ark, which has now crashed onto Earth. You can see some deserty sort of rock structures there, but that's cool. I like that. Come around to the opposite side, and that's made up of the image that we have seen so far with all the Earthrise stuff, where the Ark is actually crashing down to Earth. You got Megatron, Optimus, of course you got Unicron right there. A lot of figures I'm really looking forward to in that image. Come around to the back, you can see that they transform in 30 steps, and you have images of them in their robot as well as their vehicle forms. But for the packaging on these guys, that is about it. So without further ado, let's get them out here and see how cool they actually are. Alright guys, so here we have Thundercracker and Skywarp open up and out of their packaging. And we know the story. Seekers have historically been repaints of each other. So much like when this mold first surfaced, we knew we were going to be getting Thundercracker and Skywarp repaints of that. And that's no different with these. When the Earthrise Starscream showed up, we obviously knew that they were going to repaint them into Thundercracker and Skywarp. There's no guessing when it comes to Seeker repaints. But naturally, this is a beautiful setup. I absolutely love what they're doing here. And yeah, they're just repaints. Well, for the most part. I'll get into that here in a bit. But historically, it's how they have always been. And it doesn't bother me at all. Just kind of showing all these. I mean, this is terrific. The original group is here, and we have seen in-hand images of Thrust. We've also seen the rest of the cone heads appear on packaging. So you gotta believe that they're gonna remold these to give us those three characters. But these do look absolutely beautiful. This is gonna be a weird angle because they're leaning forward, but you can see just how cool these guys look. And hey, like I said, for the fun of it, here are those original Tetra Jet Seekers that eventually become these guys. And you can see that they are a little bit smaller. Let's get Starscream out of here. But you can see that the Tetra Jet mode is a little bit smaller of one, at least in terms of the vehicle form. But a lot of the same color elements are obviously there. You got the red, black, and blue of Thundercracker. Gone is this battle damage sort of look that plagued all, well, I shouldn't say plagued, because I don't think it's fair to complain about paint detail. But the Siege line had that. Earthrise has gotten away with it, but a lot of that silver that you see has now been nicely incorporated with the little air intake things here, and then you're going to see a lot more of it in the chest area of the robot mode. Taking a look at Thundercracker, or Skywarp, same basic thing. You got a dark, I mean, well, you can see this is black, whereas this is a very dark gray, so that color does kind of change. And obviously, I do like that darker element because it's a little bit more accurate. The purple also is a little bit more vibrant. I'd say in terms of the changes between the Tetra Jet and this version, this obviously has the biggest change, I think. Even Starscream's, the colors didn't diverge that much. But again, you got some nice silver in this upper section that this also has, even with the chest as well. Overall, though, gorgeous pieces, both of them. Come with their signature null rays that can be plugged here in the bottom. You can plug them anywhere. You got little holes right here. You can put one right there if you're crazy enough. You got some here on the sides that you can put it into. You got one here in the back section, so you can you know, kind of do whatever you want. I kind of like that a little bit. That looks a little bit more streamlined for a jet, I guess. It does suffer, both of them still suffer from that. I'm going to take these off because for the transformation, you remove those anyhow. But does still suffer from that giant gap thing here that if you go back and watch my video review of the Earthrise Starscream, I showed a fix for that. It's a wonderfully detailed and thought out 3D printed part that you can make yourself if you have a 3D printer. All the information is in that video, but it nicely covers those gaps both here at the bottom and right there at the very front as well. For Skywarp, he's got his nice purple null rays. Again, you can put those any number of places, and I'm pulling, no, I completely pulled his wing off. This, you kind of keep that in there, there we are. But you do have those are really tight posts. So again, those are the exact same, they're just repainted from the original one into the blue and purple plastic. But you know, hey, these guys are great regardless. The color scheme is classic for both of these characters, and the mold in general is absolutely terrific. I mean, really, it's utilizing a lot of those elements from that classics Starscream from many, many years ago and updating it. And to me, it works. So because we have seen the transformation for these guys, I am going to skip it. If you need any help or anything of that nature, my playlist for Earthrise figures is available, and you can check out the Starscream review. That way you can get any help that you may need. But utilizing some of that good old-fashioned optibotimus movie magic, we're going to go from these guys looking like this to looking like this. And again, they're Seekers, so they're repaints. But Skywarp here does feature something unique, that being his head, specifically his new face sculpt. Coming in to take a closer look, if I can get these guys a little bit closer here and turn their heads, you can see that they decided to give Skywarp a screaming face. Let me get things out of the way here. I really don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I appreciate that they decided to give him a different look, but open mouth screaming face to me is a little bit extreme. I'm not a big fan of overly exaggerated expressions on figures. The smirk would have been fine, but something like that just limits them to some kind of a screaming sort of pose. And, you know, people talked about switching them. The problem, though, that I can see is Skywarp's head has a slightly more glossy paint job than Thundercracker's. You can see Thundercracker has a nice shine to it, but it is definitely a little bit more muted down than Skywarp's here, and you can see that just by the reflection with the light. Rest of the figure does look really very nice. Some people still complain about these and how they clip in. I personally don't mind it because I've yet to have a problem. What I do for the transformation, just to kind of go through it, is I come around here and I pull, kind of get this here, pull this out like that. And when you do that, it kind of loosens that a little bit. So I usually put my thumb there and then pull. And I've yet to have any kind of paint chipping or anything. So it doesn't bother me. I just don't yank on it too much up here. That would put additional stress. But taking a look at these guys compared to their previous versions, let's get these standing here, and then I'll get the feet positioned proper. Here we have the Tetra Jet version of Skywarp or Thundercracker, and get him over here, and the Tetra Jet version of Skywarp. So you can see that the way that they did things, like I said, when you get one, you gotta know that we're gonna get the other. It's not a crazy science. Just like we know that if we get a prowl, we're going to get a smoke screen and a blue streak. If we get a Skywarp, we know we're gonna get a Thundercracker. I mean, it's not a crazy equation. It's going to happen eventually. And a lot of people will say, like, at the bottom is you transform those guys wrong. I transform them the way that I like, and I personally like this little thruster thing being up here. It keeps the back from being a little bit bigger than it actually is. So there's the answer to that. And for the final comparison, here they are with Starscream, the leader of the Seekers. And again, I love this trio. It's fun, it's exciting. I'm super excited. Honestly, to me, that classic Seeker mold was always one of the very best Transformers that we ever got. It looked great in robot mode, looked great in vehicle mode, transformed very easily. This is a lot like it, and probably why I like this mold so much. It really does resemble that with a lot of fairly new things thrown in, but still gives you that feel of that original Seeker. So to me, this has replaced that as being, in my opinion, one of the best in many, many years. We all know the articulation on it is all the same. The head is on a ball joint. You have a swivel and hinge at the shoulders. You got a rotation swivel at the upper part of the bicep. You have a single joint at the elbow, but it does get a little bit more than a 90-degree bend. Nothing really at the wrist other than it does move up. That's a little unfortunate. Nothing at the waist. That's all locked into place. So there is some limitations in terms of the articulation. The hips do, though, move forward and back. Very tight joints there. Rotation right up there. You get a nice bend at the knee. And then the ankles, I guess you could kind of say that it has a little bit of toe articulation. The front has a little bit, but it also does have ankle tilt. So if you wanted to get a dynamic wide pose with them, you could. So it is a little bit less on the articulation scale, mostly because it doesn't have a wrist or waist. But I mean, at least the wings can move back. They can flex back like that, which is cool. I mean, all sorts of different crazy things you can do. Overall, if you are a fan of the Seekers, this is definitely a set that I would pick up. The unfortunate thing is, as I said, here in North America, they're exclusive to Target stores, which can sometimes make things a little bit difficult. Scalpers really like going after Target exclusives. I've really discovered that, especially with the NECA Ninja Turtle stuff. And I've said this before, I'm not a big fan of primary characters, which I do feel like Thundercracker and Skywarp are being relegated to store exclusives. I feel like they should get a mass release. Much like I didn't like how Ratchet was from the Siege line was a Walgreens exclusive. I mean, he's an ambulance, put him in a pharmacy. I get it, but I mean, that I feel like should have gotten a mass release. And I do feel that way about these guys. I do highly recommend picking them up. The mold is great. The colors are fantastic. I really love the silver. I love the purple, the blue. I mean, all of it is beautiful. The only thing I really don't care too much for would be Skywarp's open expression. Like I said, that I feel kind of limits the posing option, because just like standing there, why would a character just stand there with his mouth wide open like, I mean, it doesn't make sense. I mean, this works perfectly fine for me, so it is a little bit tricky. I don't know how you could swap that or anything. Maybe the head or face can be removed. I don't even know if that, I mean, you could probably unscrew that or something. Somehow, some way, I don't know how you could do it. I'm sure somebody will think about it and figure it out. So I do recommend them. I think that they're great figures. And for me, like I said, completes the trio of the Seekers. So absolutely, if you see these guys, don't hesitate. Pick them up. Well worth having in your collection. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you would do one very small thing for me. And that's simply just to hit that thumbs up button. I'm going to issue a challenge to you guys. Let's see if we can get this video to 1,000 likes. If we do, I'll tell you what, I'll buy another set of these and give it away to a random person that leaves a comment in this comment section. So there, you guys want contests? There's one for you. Leave a comment so that I can find you, and when this video gets to 1,000 likes, I'll pick one of you completely randomly to send a set of these figures. So there, let's see if that works. Also, I want to send a huge shout out to all of my patrons, especially one in particular, that being Adam. Through the support of my patrons and him specifically, reviews like this have been made entirely possible. And if you would like information on how you can help support my channel by becoming a patron, feel free to check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/optibotimus. And as always, remember that the real trouble with the world is that too many people grow up. Thank you for watching and taking the time to be a kid.